Listening to you, this is an English edition of Dalsan TV, Somalia's premier TV station. My name is Abdirazak Ali, and let's have a look at some of our top stories. The power bill got the okay from the Senate. Somalia seeks AAC membership through the African Union Conference. Somalia, Nigeria discuss war on terror. Now, Somalia's senators have held their regular meeting in Mogadishu. The council discussed the Somalia electricity bill and the meeting that was chaired by the second deputy chairman of the chamber, Abdullahi Ali Hirsi Timade. Somalia's senators held regular sessions in Mogadishu. The council discussed the Somalia electricity bill and the meeting was chaired by the second deputy chairman of the chamber, Abdullahi Ali Hirsi Timade. On the agenda of the meeting was the second reading of the National Electricity Bill, which the members discussed and expressed their views on. Some of the members of the House who expressed their notion on the debate signaled the importance of the article to the country. Osman Abukar Dufle, who spoke on the implication of the electricity, said that the electricity provider companies do not give compensation to the people whose properties are burned, and sometimes the electricity takes their lives. Chairman Timade chaired the meeting at the end to approve the law, as members had not mentioned any significant legal errors during their debate. The MPs finally endorsed the electricity bill. Jamal Takal Abbas thanked the senators of the upper house for approving the bill for the power plant. The legislation has already been backed by the member of the People's Assembly and awaits the president to enaction it. Now, Somalia and Ethiopia have agreed to cooperate on the fight against Al-Shabaab militants following talks between the leaders of both countries in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. In a brief statement, Villa Somalia has said that President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and Nigeria's Muhammadu Buhari met to discuss bilateral cooperation in efforts to annihilate terrorism.
Somalia and Nigeria have agreed to cooperate on the fight against terror groups following talks between the leaders of both countries in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. In a brief statement, Villa Somalia said President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud of Somalia and Nigeria's Muhammadu Buhari met to discuss bilateral cooperation in efforts to annihilate terrorism. Both Somalia and Nigeria have been fighting Al-Qaeda-affiliated groups Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram respectively for years. The groups also carried out deadly attacks in both countries, killing thousands of people, including civilians. Al-Shabaab, established in Somalia in 2006 following the collapse of the Islamic Union courts, targeted hotels, restaurants, government institutions, checkpoints, as well as military bases. With the help of local clan militias, Somalia military last July launched operations against the group in southern central Somalia. The government claimed to have killed hundreds of fighters in the operations in Hiran, Galgudud, Mudug, and Middle Shabelle regions. The allied forces also recaptured dozens of villages and towns in southern central Somalia.
Now, Somalia's President Dr. Hassan Sheikh Mohamud is meeting with some African heads of state on the sidelines of the 36th African Union Summit in Addis Ababa. The president met with Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rwandan President Paul Kagame and Evarista Ndayishimiye, and Kenyan President His Excellency William Ruto. The leaders discussed ways to strengthen Somalia's diplomatic ties with the East African Community, EAC.
Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud meets Africa head of states on the sidelines of 36th Africa Union Summit in Addis Ababa. The president met with Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rwanda President Paul Kagame and Evariste Ndayishimiye, and Kenyan President Honorable William Ruto. The leaders discussed ways to strengthen Somalia's diplomatic ties with the East Africa community. In the meeting, the government of Somalia wanted to get the voice of the support for joining the East Africa Community Regional Organization, of which the government of these leaders are members. On the other hand, the leaders discussed the hindering effects of terrorism on the development and stability of the continent, and ways they can find suitable approaches to combat the terrorist group in the region. The government of Somalia strives to join the East Africa community. It lobbied at the Africa Union Conference to be one of the permanent members of the East Africa community. The market is critical to Somalia's economic growth and regional stability. During his stay in Addis Ababa, The president also had a meeting with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, and discussed the strengthening of the relationship between the two countries and cooperating in the fight against Al-Shabaab terrorist group, which has posed security threats in both countries. Additionally, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Somalia, Abshir Harusen, met with some of the foreign ministers of the Africa governments so that Somalia could get support for joining the East Africa community.
At least 26 Al-Shabaab fighters have been killed in a security operation conducted by Somali National Army on Monday in Middle Shabelle region.
At least 26 Al-Shabaab fighters have been killed in a security operation conducted on Monday by the Somali National Army in the Middle Shabelle region. Major Adan Jele Ali, a military who spoke to the state-owned media, said the forces engaged Al-Shabaab fighters in an area between El Ba'ad and Ronilgarau towns. According to Ali, the forces destroyed Al-Shabaab training base and other positions manned by the group. The development comes days after the Somali government claimed to have killed dozens of Al-Shabaab fighters following days-long fighting with the Somali forces in the central Somalia. Somali military said its forces in cooperation with local clan militias launched an operation to hunt down Al-Shabaab in an area in the southern Mudug region. The fighters were killed in the fighting which took place in Qiyat town. The forces boasted that they had recovered weapons and other military assortments. Mid-last year, the Somali government, backed by local clan militias, launched operations against Al-Shabaab fighters in southern central Somalia. The allied forces liberated dozens of villages and towns in Hiran, Galgudud, Mudug and Middle Shabelle region. The government also claimed to have killed more than 2,000 Al-Shabaab fighters since the operation commenced last year.
Thank you so much for watching Dalsan TV. My name is Abdirazak Ali. Have a good evening.